So I'm here with Allison Gardner of Glasgow Film Festival. The film festival has moved fully online this year. That wasn't always the plan. There was going to be a hybrid format, which I'd like to talk to you about in a minute. But it's interesting for me to be coming to Glasgow Film Festival and it being online, because the last Glasgow Film Festival is actually the last film festival I attended in person at all. And I've only been to a physical cinema twice since that film festival, so it really does feel like it kind of marks a whole year since normality for cinema going. How did you approach programming for the festival in 2021? Because obviously I know from intros you've done with films before that you go to the likes of Toronto and other film festivals and see what's playing there, as well as having other stuff screening. I'm just wondering, with so many things moving online and travel being difficult and all the rest of it, how did you approach it? How did you approach it this year that was different?
Well, actually, you're one of a number of people who've said that GFF 20 was their last experience of any type of festival, and probably was, because about 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks after we finished the festival, we then went into lockdown in the full lockdown on the 23rd of March. So yes, we began realising in about May that the world had changed significantly, especially around the film festival landscape. So we were working with London Film Festival, for example, and talking to them about, they were talking about a hybrid model. We were sharing intel. They were very generous with us in terms of sharing what they were going to do. And we were working exactly along the same lines of a hybrid festival. So we were able to watch a number of films at virtual film festivals. So there was Virtual Cannes. Virtual Cannes was not fun, can I just say. The rosé I was serving myself at night was really not up to par.
Not quite the same.
Not quite the same. I mean, it's interesting to do because people then become much more used to it. And there was Virtual Toronto as well, so that we were able to see films in that way. We also had a key number of submissions, but because we were looking for about we were only looking at a third of the normal amount of feature films that we do. We were really making sure that every film that's in the online festival, although originally, as you said, was going to be a hybrid festival, we're making sure that every film that's in there is one that we truly love and is championed by a member of the programme team. So Chris, Kumar, Alan, or myself. So we were really making sure that these films were ones that we were passionate about. And so we're fully online now, which has its advantages.
How did you approach the logistics of it? Because you've said that obviously quite early on you knew that the world had changed. I think as a lot of us knew, particularly in terms of the crowded spaces that film festivals can be. Is that what brought about the GFF at Home program you've been running? I'm just wondering, because obviously that's been great, but I'm just wondering, was that kind of intended as sort of an advanced pilot almost for how you thought you were going to have to run this year's film festival proper?
You have nailed it completely on the head, Jim. Yes, it was an advanced pilot. We had been doing a lot of work with distributors and keeping our audience engaged at Glasgow Film Theatre with the staff. So we were doing Twitter chats, we were doing watch-alongs, we were doing a whole bunch of stuff, lots of really great activity. So we were conscious that we wanted to offer Glasgow Film Theatre audiences the same curation that we would normally offer at GFT and keep in touch with our audiences. And then we thought about the festival. So we invested in this Glasgow Film at Home platform, which is really easy to use, actually. And I mean, for somebody who's technically inept like myself and has to require her children to help her with nearly everything technical, including her phone, it's really easy to use. You create an account, then you can buy films, you can swipe it onto your TV. It's all very, very easy to do, apparently. For the two films that I've watched, it was super. I was able to do it myself, so that's great. But we'd invested in that platform. We started using it in early November for Glasgow Film Theatre, because I don't like to trial anything at a film festival. That is a bad move. Yeah. Bad move. What you really need to do, and I wanted the learning, and I wanted to see how the user journey was. And you know, whenever you start something new, it's never perfect. But I wanted it to be as perfect as it could be by the time the festival came round, because there are a lot of film choices on there. You've seen from the programme, there's a lot of great movies in this festival. It's a finely curated programme, and it's available to everybody in the UK.
On the topic of the curation and the programme itself, that was something I wanted to ask you about, because this predates this festival. So I think I first attended Glasgow Film Festival in 2017 after I moved back to Scotland, and one of the things that struck me about the programme is the character of it, because it has a very good balance of international features, stuff not in the English language, stuff that's from North America and some of the big festivals there, but also that focus on Scottish filmmakers and local talent, even down to the Glasgow level. What do you aim for? Is that what you're aiming for with the character of the festival? Is that at the forefront with the programming choices? Because it's a feeling I get from Glasgow that I don't, cards on the table, I don't always get from other British festivals. And I'm just wondering if that's how long that's been the case, if that's a focus for the programming effort, basically.
I take that as a huge compliment, Jim. So Alan and I started curating the festival in 2007. Oh my goodness, that's so long ago. And we decided that we wanted it to be a broad church, so that there was something for everyone. It really wanted to reflect the programme that is GFT all year round. So we partnered up with Fright Fest, for example, which is a big success because they bring out a new audience. But a lot of that audience from Fright Fest has migrated to come to the whole festival, for example. And so because they're film fans. And so really it's a festival for film fans. There's, even in this festival, there's the high-end hitters like Minari that people really want to see, which is brilliant, by the way. The Mauritanian, creation stories, those sort of films. But in amongst that is all the sort of small, gems from in the documentary section, like Castro Spies, for example, and Enemies of the State. Enemies of the State, fabulous, stunning documentary, really not to be missed, and a European premiere. And then so there's something in there for everybody that we think. So we try not to prejudge people's tastes. So what we try to do is make sure that it's a broad church, but really have those nuggets of great international, fantastic films, some of the high-end hitters that people are really looking forward to, genre fair around Fright Fest, and then obviously try and support our local industry in terms of Scottish to give them a platform so that they're able to showcase their work, because Glasgow Film Festival now has a really good international reputation, which is really great. And this year, for example, some of our Scottish films will probably be showing at Shanghai Film Festival. So we're working in conjunction with them. And we have, for example, the world premiere of Polystyrene, I Am a Cliche, and then it's showing its North American premiere at South by Southwest, for example. So there's lots of things in there. Glasgow audiences, and I don't mean people just necessarily from Glasgow, but Glasgow Film Festival audiences have a very cultured taste, in the sense that they're really willing to try a lot of things that we put in front of them, and for that I am eternally grateful.
Yeah, no, I think there's probably a few film festivals I can think of where you'll be able to watch something like the Mauritanian or Minari or something like that, and then the same week you'll be able to watch like a Gaelic language feature film. For instance, I think that's kind of what strikes me about it. The idea of those partner screens, is that something that you would maybe like to revisit when we're back closer to some sort of normality? Because that's something that I've seen a lot of festivals doing. Is that something you'd like to revisit?
Absolutely. I do think that once this festival's over, we'll be relooking, as we normally do, at what the successes are. I think there will always be a hybrid version now. I think there will always be an online element to it, which is great. I don't think it'll ever replace the being in GFT1, for example, with, a full audience. I don't think that'll ever replace that. And that's something that we all will miss. But that will come back. We will be sitting in GFT inside its magnificence, enjoying films on the big screen. That will definitely happen. But then there will be now sidebars, partner cinemas, online. So we need to look at how that works all together. We were so delighted because the partner cinemas were so open. They've been so fantastic. And I really wanted to thank all of them. They came on board very willingly. They were super happy with the choice of films that we gave them, that they would have been showing. But unfortunately, when we set all this up in the beginning in October, when cinemas were open, obviously I don't have a crystal ball. I did not know that things would get a lot worse. And in between Christmas and New Year, whilst I was scheduling GFT, physical screenings, I did have a wobble. I had a good greet because I thought, this is not going to happen. I solved that problem by going for a long walk, coming back, having a very large glass of red wine, and then rethinking. And at that point, we decided, before we went into this lockdown that was announced on the 4th of January or the 5th of January, I decided and spoke to the team and said, we are pivoting online. So on the Monday, we decided to pivot. We announced it to the public on Friday, because in between Monday and Friday, we were contacting all our venues, we were contacting all our filmmakers, we were trying to make sure that everybody could pivot. And that was a big, big job. But the team really, really, absolutely worked incredibly hard to do that. And we didn't lose many films that were cinema-only titles. The distributors, the sales agents, the filmmakers themselves have been incredibly supportive. So that has really worked for us. So it was a big job, but because we had everything in place, it wasn't a mammoth task. I've seen a couple of tweets by audience members who are really glad that we took that decision early on and that there wasn't, we sold tickets for the physical and then had to refund them. I just genuinely thought making a firm decision at this point is the best way forward for the team, the filmmakers, and the audience.
Yeah, without getting too political, I think there's a lot of institutions that could learn from that.
Well,
but anyway,
I couldn't possibly comment, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I speak for a lot of audiences when I look forward to being able to be back in person when it's safe to do so. I think one of my abiding memories of Glasgow Film Festival is I think one of the first films I saw at Glasgow Film Festival was Lynn Ramsay's You Were Never Really Here. And I did just kind of sitting in GFT1 stunned silence as it finished, and it's odd just sitting in that kind of like theatre full of people kind of in stunned silence. You can't really recreate that at home, so I think really we look forward to when we can do it.
Then Lynn came on and did a Q&A. One of the added advantages of being online, and let's be honest here, online will never replicate that feeling, and I'm not even trying to replicate that feeling, but what we are trying to do is we're trying to offer the same brilliant curatorial choice available to lots of people across the whole of the UK. And sometimes people can't travel to Glasgow in years where there isn't a pandemic, for example, for a whole variety of reasons. So this all opens up the whole programme to them. And we're also doing Q&As, recorded Q&As with directors, actors, etc., producers around the films, and they'll be available as well. So we're trying to create those added extra elements that we normally add at Glasgow Film Theatre when we're not in a pandemic year. But I do think it's certainly worth everyone taking a punt on seeing the films. The tickets go on sale on Monday, and we've created bundles, for example, because online, obviously, the tickets are priced $9.99 individually. But for example, you could watch all of the 5 South Korean films, you can watch all of the 6 Fright Fest films, you can watch all of the 6 Audience Award films, and then you can also buy your picks where you're sent a code, and then you put that code in, and then you can choose your films from the general programme as well. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to access great films.
Great. I think to finish off with, so I've seen a couple of the films on. I've been fortunate enough to see at some other festivals and on screener a couple of the films that are screening, and I can back you up on the thing. It is an excellent programme. I suppose as one of the festival's organisers, just to finish off with, what would be some of the kind of personal highlights that you see on the print? Now, obviously, you think the whole programme is great, right? Because but in terms of like specific things, what would you say people should keep an eye out for?
Some of the things Alan chooses, I don't like. Usually what happens is when we're in GFT, somebody will come up and say, I've just seen that film, Alison, I really didn't like it. And I'll say, well, Alan chose that one, and obviously I told him not to. But that's the joy of having it. But no, I think the programme as a whole is really excellent in the sense that it really does something for everyone, and that's always what we aim for. I mean, I really liked things like, I really like Big versus Small. It's fantastic, a really great documentary about the first Portuguese big wave surfer. It's a really great documentary. It's also because I'm frightened of surfing and sharks and waves, so I was watching it completely like mesmerised. But it's not just about that, it's about her journey. She goes to Finland, she deep dives in water, in dark lakes. It's something I just never put myself through. So I'm in complete admiration for people who really take their sports to these extreme levels. Beautifully made film by Mina Dufton, who's a Finnish director. I think also I like The Toll. I like a good Welsh comedy. Michael Smiley's in that. You can never go wrong with Michael Smiley.
No, I don't think you can.
You're in very good hands. In terms of the documentaries, again, I would really mention Enemies of the State and Castro's Spies, really two of the top documentaries I think that people will see this year. I'm also looking forward to, which I haven't seen, which Alan has seen, which is Truman in Tennessee as well, which is great. I'm also looking forward to seeing people's reaction to Black Bear. I really liked it. Some people not so much, but I think that's a great festival film. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. And then if any people who don't like Riders of Justice really should never attend a festival. It's a great film. Mads Mikkelsen has the best beard ever. It's so great.
Well, that's what struck me the still for it, actually. I've never seen Mads Mikkelsen with a beard, and he pulls it off as impressively as he does many other things.
It's quite a violent film. Anders Thomas Jensen is a festival favourite. We've shown, I think, nearly all his films at Glasgow Film Festival. I'd have to look back at that. But he did a great film that people loved called Men in Chicken, which was absolutely fantastic, went down really well. Riders of Justice, so violent, but so funny. It was one of those films I was watching and I was guffawing out loud. My husband was saying to me, what are you laughing at? I was like, this is private festival business, nothing to do with you. So there's some of my top tips.
All right, great. Well, hopefully everything goes smoothly. It's looking great. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I think we'll be doing a preview show for the festival on the Cinetopia Radio show and taking a look at some of the features. And I'm sure it will all go excellently. So thank you for talking to me, Alison.
Thank you very much. And just remember, tickets are now on sale. So don't forget, there's limited availability. So if you really want to see something, buy it in advance.